Welcome to the Black Box App Podcast. Extremely excited to have you here today with Mr. Donald Thompson. Donald Thompson, author, Underestimated, a CEO's Unlikely Path to Success, 3 times Inc. 500 CEO, Forbes Next 1000, Fast Company's World-Changing Ideas, Business MC Power List, heavy hitter, and also a panelist at the Black Enterprise BE Summit, Black Men Excel. He's excelling out here doing his thing. Happy to introduce you to my friend, Mr. Donald Thompson. What's going on?
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I've been looking forward to this. I'm ready to chop it up, and I feel blessed to be here with you.
Man, I love having you here on the Black Box App Podcast. You know, we've been doing this for a while, and I get excited every time I bring brothers on just to kind of speak their truth and tell their story and just chop it up. I'm going to go a little off the beaten path this week with you because I feel like I know you. We spent some time together out there in National Harbor in Maryland. I just want to talk about the work you're doing, man. Tell our audience about the work of Mr. Donald Thompson.
So I am an investor and advisor. I sit on a handful of boards, but I'm an active CEO, growing a business, raising money, chasing customers, trying to make my way in the world. And what we do at the diversity movement is we have a set of technology-enabled consulting services that allow businesses to scale diversity, equity, inclusion practices, right, in a cost-effective way. And so what we found that we do very different is that we create an environment where we link DEI efforts to the bottom line of the business. It's very important that if you help people market better, sell more, recruit better, how your DEI initiative is going to stay at the top of the stack. We're all about the social justice issues, but we wrap these things into how we help corporations win in the marketplace with better talent acquisition through diversity, equity, inclusion.
You know, I love that because, you know, at East Coast Executives, my firm, we're an executive search firm focused on diverse talent, specifically Black and brown talent. And, you know, a lot of times the conversation walks into that, what's the ROI, right? How's that looking? And sometimes, you know, I'm like, listen, we're working with talent. Let's back up a little and open up the talent pools and find the best talent available. And it's interesting because I love the work that you do because it sounds like you're packaging a lot of those key points into an offering to help businesses just get better and be more productive and generate more revenue. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, it's exactly what you're hearing. Let me give you a specific example. There's numbers that back up that heterogeneous sales team, real talk, teams that have more than just middle-aged white guys sell more. Yes. Because we're in a more diverse economy. So if you're thinking about, for example, the LGBTQ plus community has a $1.4 trillion worth of buying power. So if you're a financial institution and you're not changing your marketing to adapt to those metrics, then you're losing a piece of the pie. If you think about all the wealth that Black and brown Americans now have versus ever before, right? We're buying cars, we're buying homes, we're investing for the future, we're starting businesses. So if you're a large multinational conglomerate and your marketing message, your recruiting message, the way you engage employees doesn't include us, then you're not going to be able to be next level in the company goals that you have. And so what we do is we take diversity and inclusion and we uplift it and make it a business-led initiative, right? Which makes the C-suite pay attention for the long term. Everybody celebrates Black History Month, right? I need to get more Black and brown people at the table, both being recruited, both being promoted, and being sold to.
Yes, yes. All right, so let's just back up a little. So tell me, I know the diversity movement, your organization, you're leading the charge over there. But let's go back a little. Tell me a little bit about your work history prior to that.
Yeah, thanks for asking. So I started my career in sales and in technology sales, heavy manufacturing, software sales for manufacturers. So my clients were like John Deere, Lockheed Martin, Boeing, right? And so I learned how to navigate in large organizations and sell products and services and technology. And then a company I was working with exited, and we sold this technology to Adobe Systems. And then I became the CEO of a spin out business. And so I learned how to, number one, be a sales technology professional, but then I became a CEO of a consulting firm. And so in growing that, I had to understand not only how to deal with executives and leaders externally, but how to build, lead, grow, and mentor a team of my own.
Gotcha.
And then as I started to sell and exit a couple businesses, I became the CEO of Walk West, which was a digital marketing firm in Raleigh, North Carolina. And that's where in 2018, 2019, 2020, we were on the Inc. 5000 as one of the fastest growing brand development agencies right in North Carolina. I have since moved on from that to the diversity movement and was able to hire a phenomenal woman of color to continue to grow and grow that business. I remain the board chair, but I really love opening doors for others, right? And after a national search, right, this young lady, Aba Bowers, crushed it, right? And so what I found in my own personal business is that given the opportunity, given a seat at the table, given an opportunity to compete, we're going to blow the doors off of things.
Yes.
And that's where the ROI of businesses come back, because as the chairman, business is up and growing. She's growing year over year. And now I'm able to go off and move and do some other things in the diversity, equity, inclusion space.
You know, I love it. I want to take the conversation here. So typically when I speak to people and I speak to them, one of the questions we always ask, you know, what's your advice for entry-level talent just starting off in their careers? But for you, I want to speak to you about your advice for entry-level executives, individuals that are finally have ascended to a point in their career where they're being considered for leadership opportunities at the highest levels of organizations. What should they be doing coming in the door?
Yeah, a couple things. Thanks for that question, Kenneth. I really appreciate it. Number one, you've got to align yourself to where you are an executive running a P&L. Because one of the things that holds us back as leaders in the business is if we're doing things that are more purely operational or support roles, we may have the title, but we don't have the track record and impact we need to continue that C-suite elevation. So number one, something along the line of P&L responsibility. And if that's not your main job, make sure you're supporting those functions that do and you understand it. Number two, understand the difference between mentorship and sponsorship. A lot of times, if we have people in an organization that are giving us good advice, we feel good about that, and that's powerful. But we all need somebody that is a sponsor. And the difference is a sponsor is telling you what doors to open, opportunities that you need to go after, and they'll help position you for your next project, your next advancement. A sponsor is somebody that has helped position your career. A mentor is someone that helps guide your mindset and your thought process and answer questions. So knowing that difference is really important. And the third thing that I think is really, really critical, you've got to continue to build your personal brand. You have to be known inside your company and outside the business as a thought leader in something you're excellent at. Because as you build that thought leadership power and people in your company see your external profile, you will get more juice inside the business. And so those are the three things that I recommend for those emerging executives.
You know, from meeting you at the panel discussion at BM Excel, I just became a big fan of you as a person. And that led me kind of down the road where I wanted to learn a little more about your work, and of course led us here today to this conversation. I find you to be an exceptional communicator. I noticed that on the panel. I've noticed that through some of the things that I've watched that you've been on. And I'm just kind of wondering how you developed that skill set. And was there a mentor or sponsor that kind of took you in and said, hey, look, I'm going to put you up here in front and let you hone your skills?
Here's the thing. The communication skills is actually one area that I had to grow and develop more on my own. I am an avid reader. And one of the things that I read for is not just knowledge intake, but the phrases that writers use to communicate messages powerfully. And so by reading, and I'll underline whether it's something I read from Deloitte or McKinsey on their website, these are high-end marketing firms. Yes, they're consulting, but they're marketing firms, right? They market knowledge. And so I read these things and I highlight the phrases that they use, and then I incorporate my thinking into that same talk rhythm. And so I'm learning from experts with everything I read, because your ability to communicate is what separates you, right, from other people that might be just as talented, just as smart, just as good. But if you can coin a message quickly, get all different types of people to be able to work with you and understand you, it is something that is a very much a competitive advantage.
You know, that's an interesting approach. I found that when I started to do sales and staffing and recruiting, and you know, we're kind of operating and working our way through, and a big piece of the work was to dive into the company's website and kind of read how they're communicating to their end users and their internal stakeholders, and then take that and incorporate it in the way you deliver your messaging, right? And I'm listening to what you're speaking about. So it's not always the books you read, but sometimes it's the content you're reading within your industry as well.
That's exactly right. People want to do business with people that they feel like get them, that understand what they're trying to accomplish. Here's the thing I would tell emerging executives and folks that are in sales or any kind of leadership. Think about how much time is wasted when you jump on a call for 30 minutes with someone new and you say, tell me about your firm. And now they spend 10 minutes talking to you about something you could have read on the internet, you could have studied, you could have done your homework. When I do my homework on a company that I'm pitching, that I'm working with, I now have that full 30 minutes of how I can help them be successful because I did my homework in the beginning. Most people are intellectually lazy, so they just want to ask the questions. But in order to succeed and jump ladders in your career, you got to do that knowledge work right around the edges so that you come to that meeting more than prepared, right? And I'll give a quick example, and I won't go, but more than prepared. This was years ago. I was still in sales. I was in Germany. I had an opportunity to meet with the entire European sales force of $1 billion company. And I was trying to get them to put my product into their sales book, right? The PCs from the US and Germany didn't connect, so my sales engineer couldn't get our presentation loaded.
Wow.
But because I had the presentation memorized, I just hit go. And by the time the technology glitch was fixed, he just hit the slide that I was already on, and we kept it moving seamlessly, right? But I was prepared for my moment, and I was prepared if my moment didn't go right of how to recover.
You know, the part of that story that impresses me is that I'm sure you were speaking in German, right?
No. Hey, look, I'm thankful that English is the language of international business. So I'm very fortunate there, right? And the only thing I know in German is a greeting, guten Tag, right? I can say hello. You know, that's about it.
I don't buy that. I want to see the video footage. I want to see the footage.
Oh man, that's good stuff, man.
Hey, listen. So you know, it's interesting what you're speaking about, because a lot of times when we do sales calls, right? I'll tell people, listen, I already read the position description. Kind of give me the information that's not on the position description. Tell me what's going to make this person, the ideal candidate, successful, and it's not listed here. And then we get deeper into a conversation, and I can recruit more effectively. So it sounds like you're teaching people kind of how to operate in that fashion.
The most critical decisions that we all make are in the gray space. And what I mean by that is really it's an extension of what you just said. It's the things that are not written, right? It's how decisions are really made in an organization, what the culture is like. How do you really get promoted? You can look at the HR handbook. You can go through and take all of the prerequisites for the next level of job that you're going after. But that's why you have to have those mentors and sponsorships, because what are the unspoken things that need to be done or not done, right, to succeed in that environment? And those are the areas that as Black and brown professionals, we tend to miss out because we're not at the same country club. We don't go and drink at the same bars. And so we have to be really intentional, right, about finding mentors that look like us, phenomenal, but really mentors that are sitting in that C-suite arena already, no matter where they come from. And a lot of times I will share this that we do to hurt ourselves, right? Is we have some experiences collectively to where we've been marginalized, to where we haven't gotten our just due, but we can't bring that chip to the new party, right? We got to make sure that we're giving each person we interact with an open mind and an open opportunity, right? To help us, to help prepare us, to help grow us. Because that person that we're prejudging, right, might be the very person that can open the door we need. But if I have that chip on my shoulder, and if I'm a little oversensitive about everything that's said or not said, then I might miss that opportunity that can take me next level.
Sure, sure. I know you're a big proponent of continuous learning.
Absolutely.
And kind of staying up to date. Man, apparently you were kind of even ahead of the curve with this SaaS as a service, right? Like the whole software thing. I'm listening to some of your background,
Yep.
and I find that really interesting. What do you credit? Like what part of your career where you just made the jump, where you were like it was moving along, and then wow, this opportunity was the opportunity to kind of springboarded you and provided the ramp to where you're at now.
Yeah, it's really when I moved from being a sales professional to really having entrepreneurial thinking. And it's not even owning your own business, it's entrepreneurial thinking. And that means being a problem solver. And that problem solving mindset means you're always open to a new way of getting something done. And when you're always open to a new way of getting something done, then roadblocks that are put in front of you don't affect you as much, because it's just an opportunity for you to be innovative, creative, and to figure out a new way to get what you want from that given situation. And so sales certainly prepared me for that. But I will tell you that the more I started to work with entrepreneurs, invest in entrepreneurs, read entrepreneurial magazines and books, that thinking of seeing something that is in the gray space that's not there, and then seeing a fit of how I could solve a problem. I'll give a real quick example with the diversity movement. The reason we started this company is because we didn't see DEI organizations that were focused on linking DEI content to the business outcome. We saw a lot of firms talking about DEI, we should hire more Black and brown people, and that's fine, and no disrespect for those companies. They're doing great. But we wanted to create, like we have, a set of over 500 2 to 3 minute micro videos that we sell on our SaaS platform so people can learn DEI in the flow of work. Because if you're at a law firm, we know that you're not going to have your lawyers sit for 4 hours, billable hours, in DEI training. But 5 minutes a day, you will buy and have your lawyers do it in the flow of their everyday work, where it's more cost effective, or your sales force or your frontline professionals. So we're thinking about DEI, but we're thinking about how to do it in a way that people can absorb it the way we consume information on TikTok, on YouTube, et cetera. You need to create products and services that are in the flow of trends that are already happening. And that's what we've done.
You know, I was thinking about that as you were speaking it through. I said, you know, that's it right there, because you're focusing in on the way people are consuming content now, and the younger generation, they're consuming it in really small bits, but consistently. I love it. I love it. So, all right, so let's give back just a little here. What's your advice to individuals that are, let's say, mid-level in their career? You know what? Here, I'm going to take it back. I'm going to go to the original Black Box podcast format. Let's run it through, because I know you're going to speak through in small bites that allow people to consume.
Sure. Yeah, I'll be quick.
so let's talk about entry-level talent. Someone's just getting out of college, or they're just getting out of some type of certificate program or something of that nature, and they're just starting out in their career, and they want to have an impact at the organization they're currently at. What should they be doing?
The number one thing that I think is important in your first and second job is your relationship with your manager and their manager. Even if I had to take less money, but I had somebody truly able to mentor me, I'm going to get more learning opportunities faster than somebody that just assigns me a task and moves on down the road. So the number one thing early in your career is not money, but mentorship and opportunity to do things with higher visibility. And so that's the biggest thing that I would highly recommend.
Gotcha. All right, so let's keep flowing through the career progression here. So now I'm learning things. I got a manager that's really supporting me and putting me in stretch assignments that allow me to gain visibility, and I get that promotion. And maybe I even had to make a move to get somewhere higher up the ladder. So now I'm in what we consider a mid-management, middle management role. What do I need to be focused in on at that level?
Learning how to delegate. One of the biggest transitions from an individual contributor to a leader is we're used to doing everything ourselves. Once you move into management, you are evaluated on the performance of your team. So it's really critical to get to know the strengths and the weaknesses the personalities, and the purpose that drives each of your team members so that you assign the right work to the right people at the right time. And then that will allow you to rise as a manager. If you have 5 direct reports, for example, on your team, right, and you're assigning them things that they're really, really good at, the team's going to shine. If you misassign things to your team members, you're going to have 2 or 3 people that struggle. If you have 2 or 3 people that are struggling out of 5, you don't have a winning team. So it's very important as a manager that you understand the strengths of your team members and you make sure you give them things where they can hit the ball and win. And then you help them directly in areas where they need support and growth. And that gives you the best opportunity for you to have a winning squad that your leadership and your management are going to look at you for.
I love it. Let's speak about that. So as you manage talent throughout your career, and I just would imagine at some point in time you've had some individuals that were Black men. This is the Black Box App podcast, and we're kind of focused in on that population. But has there been anything? And I'm going to go on. Here's what I'm going to go on. Right. Yeah. I moderated a panel and I sat with you, and we had 2 younger brothers kind of sitting in between us, and dynamic individuals. But I saw a point in the panel where you became a coach, and I appreciated it. And I don't know if it was an autopilot thing for you or just something you said, you know what, this is probably the time where I kind of lead and kind of move this panel along. And I don't even know if you saw it yourself, but I saw it and appreciated it. And I'm wondering if that's kind of how you managed in general.
One of the things that has allowed me to recruit and retain really talented folks across the businesses that I've run is I want to see people meet their goals. And I'm going to tell you a quick story and why I do love to be a coach. I'm the son of a football coach, and so I have that in my DNA. But there was an event for a technology association here locally in Raleigh, North Carolina. And my friend Greg Boone, who is an engineer who I managed for a while, that's now a CEO of a $50 million business that I mentored. Abba Bowers, who's the CEO of my marketing firm, was there. Kurt Merriweather, who is one of my business partners in the diversity movement, was there. And I wasn't there. I had 3 key people that I mentor and work with hanging out with the governor of North Carolina. And I couldn't have been more proud that it was them, that they got together and sent me pictures of what they were doing and who they were meeting and who they were moving and shaking. And so I think it's my responsibility to take some of the hard knocks, some of the things I've learned, and for those that are willing, those that are want it, to share some of those things. They're going to make their own way, but I'm going to do my part to help them.
Man, it's our responsibility to let people know about people like Donald Thompson that are out here in the world doing amazing things. All right, I'm going to close with the final question, though. I think this is the final question. It may not be. I could talk to you for like another hour. But if you're talking about senior level execs, right? People that they might even be kind of looking at the retirement door or the next phase in their life, which may be entrepreneurship, or it may just be kind of hanging out on the links and doing what they do. What should they be doing prior to their exit to support the careers of younger African-American males?
Here's the thing, and corporate America is more open to it than ever before. I think for our senior talented executives, figuring out how to position themselves, and I'm in this same boat, for board service. And building your board resume, building your experience with nonprofits and different things so that you can continue to elevate. And really where the C-suite decisions are made are in the boardroom. And so that's the next frontier for us. And so my hope would be that the senior executives that are listening and that you work with and I work with, that we're all looking towards being readied for that board appointment so that now we can really start looking at the business landscape from its highest levels.
Amazing. Listen, it's always too short, but man, this one just seems really short. You know what? This seems like one of those videos that you're pushing out here to the world. I'm like, wow, was this 2 minutes long? What's going on? And they're telling me that our time is coming up. But look, I'd love for you to share with our audience how they can stay connected, not only to you, but the work you're doing from any perspective, people that just kind of want the information, but also people that probably want to partner through and to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion at their organizations.
thank you for giving me that space. The diversitymovement.com, in our resources section, we have hundreds of pieces of free content. So if you're looking to learn, if you're looking to get best research, best practices, it's there for you. Whether it is LinkedIn or through the diversitymovement.com, if you reach out, I'll reach back.
I love it. Ladies and gentlemen, Donald Thompson, the CEO of the diversitymovement.com, and he really is moving out here. This is the Black Box App Podcast. I'm your host, Kenneth L. Johnson, president of East Coast Executives, founder and developer of the Black Box App.